everybody. Welcome. We're just going to wait a few minutes just to let any latecomers who are joining us, come in, give us nice big waves.
This is a
It's
lot
so
of people.
exciting to see you all. It's so cool. While we're waiting, do you want to start in the chat and share where you're from? Oh, Nick, you win already.
Already on it. He's already seen this.
Yeah, he's like, I know what's happening.
He was here for yesterday's replay of this video.
Yeah, to everyone here, we've had lots of practices of this, so
California,
fingers crossed. Amazing.
Germany, India,
nice.
Turkey,
Serbia, France. Whoa!
Netherlands, Serbia. Wow.
Hey, London, Ealing, Hugh. There we go.
That's me. They called me out.
Awesome.
Oh, that's so amazing. And maybe just like a thumbs up or anything of people who've used Hopin. So this is session Hopin. If you've used that before, one or two. Oh, cool. So this is hopefully a new program. Great. Hello to Italy as well. Nicola, nice to see you. We will wait a few more minutes. But while we're waiting, this is probably a perfect time to kind of hear a little bit more about you. So who do we have here who would consider themselves a front-end dev? Front-end developers, give us the best emojis. Some smiley face. There we go. And
Nice.
Back-end? All the money.
Okay.
Front end gets
Quite a lot of back end there. Quite a lot of back end developers.
Oh, full stack on it. Full stack. Yeah.
Right. Any other? Come on, team. Throw in some. Who?
Full stack people there. Yeah, we've got
Full
Peter.
stack.
Full stack.
Full stack people. Go on.
Nice.
Yeah, full stack people. I got those here.
And what about? I'm just putting it out there. The data scientists. Only a couple of those. Only a couple of data scientists.
That's a right.
And what about any non-technical people who are just here for the ride? A rabbit. Oh,
Yes.
two. Very good. So we got
Yeah,
loads.
well, there'll be a
loads of
recording as well. Yeah,
back-end
there'll be a replay or recording for sure. Definitely.
Amazing. So do we think we are fully assembled? We've got so many of you. That's really fabulous. 61. Great. Well, most importantly, welcome to SurrealDB's first live stream. We are so happy to be here, the full team, and we're going to be chatting tonight. We're going to be answering some of the questions that you all posted. We're going to be deep diving into how Jamie and Toby founded Surreal and what we're going to be doing in the future plans, as well as talking to Hugh and Rushmore more. And also having a live demo from one of our first community members as well. Please do keep posting any questions. So in the Q&A, if you have any questions that you didn't ask before when we did the shout out, stick it in there and you can upvote those and we'll take a look at those at the end of the session as well. And for anything that you love, do remember to keep using emojis as we can't see you. So it reminds us that you're all there, which is lovely. Let's think, yeah,
There we go.
very good. So amazing. Let's dive straight in, Jamie and Toby. How did Surreal start? Like what?
I mean, first of all, yeah, I'm Jamie. I'm a brother of Toby. Obviously, we've been working together for 17 years. First of all, I'm a dad of three young kids, 7, 5, and 3-year-olds. I'm addicted to sport. I love my sport. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my point of view. I'll introduce Toby as well. You go, Toby.
I'm here, founder of SurrealDB. Been working on this for a while, as you probably know. Dad of 1, not quite 3 just yet, and probably stay away from the 3. Yeah, how did we come about deciding on building SurrealDB? I think Jamie, take it away.
Yeah, look, 2015. We're building a very, very complicated SaaS product. Lots of different backends, APIs, you name them, if you want.
Yeah, so we were using InfluxDB, DynamoDB, OrientDB, MySQL. On previous projects, we'd used MongoDB and RethinkDB, and all of those are awesome databases. But we looked at those and we wanted the power of a database. We wanted the simplicity of something like Firebase. And we kind of asked ourselves back in 2015, can we build something that gives us that power of a database, but with the simplicity of not having to manage backends and in Kubernetes or in CoreOS clusters, and just make it simple. And that's the beginning of the journey for SurrealDB.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were spending a lot of time on the back end and we wanted to simplify our lives. It's all about making our lives easier to focus on the front end where the money was at. So 2016, 17, we started building it. And then 2018, we put it into production for ourselves. And yeah, end of 2021, we thought, look, this is a pretty big project. We should probably open it to the world. So we rewrote it in Rust from Golang. And then August 2022 last year, as you know, it went a bit crazy. We did a beta of it, and thanks to everyone online, obviously our amazing community, we had an unbelievable adoption of the product so far. And that's one of the reasons why, we never envisaged it to be this growing quickly this early, right? We never thought of that, because we knew we had a great product, but without a great community, it's just a product. It's nothing great. In my mind, it's a dead product. Focusing on the community is a massive part where we want to take this product, because if we spend 5 months of our time building something that's in SeveralDB we think you guys want, and actually you don't want it, and then we release it and you're like, what's the point? That's not how we want to be. We want to be open and transparent about where we're going with this company. We want to make sure that we bring you along the journey and make sure that we talk to you. I mean, that's one of the first things we did when we first launched, right? I made sure that Toby and I replied to as many comments as possible, right? That's on Hacker News, Indie Hackers, Reddit, Discord too. I mean, at the time when we first launched, we were a team of 2. So we were up all night, making sure.
Wasn't there a comment on one of the platforms saying, I can't believe this is just 2 people? There must be a huge agency behind this.
One person was like, oh, this guy, they just got a PR team. It's not even a great product. They got PR. I wish I had a great PR team at the time. It was myself and Toby just hacking away at the comments, making sure we reply to every single one, whether negative or positive. You've got to make sure that, when we first launched, we had 12-year-olds on a Discord asking questions. In a few years' time, right? When they're going to be CTOs and top engineers at big corporations, and we want to make sure that if you show love in our product, we want to show love back. That's a very, very important part of this company. We want to take it. And by the way, apologies, I talk very, very fast. So hopefully, when we get this out a recorded version, you can slow mo it down, because I'm trying to talk slowly. But if you can't understand me, wait for the video to come out. Yeah.
I think,
one of the questions. Oh yeah,
I was going to say, starting off just the team of 2 and answering as many questions, and we're still trying to do that. And we'll introduce the team in a little bit, but it's important to us that everyone in SeveralDB is able to help out the community in the different areas that they specialize in, and that's really an aim for us going forward.
Definitely.
One of the questions that we had was about the investors and kind of that stage of the startup journey. Can you share about that?
Yeah, definitely. We had a question, obviously, about how it's being funded right now. I mean, for 7 years, it was obviously privately funded by ourselves. Everything we made on top of our products went back into the database to keep building on it. And it took us a long time, right? 7 is a long time to keep plowing away at something. But yeah, end of last year, when we launched it, we had a massive amount of interest from a lot of VCs around the world who jumped on the inbox saying, look, we want to be part of it. We spoke to a lot of people, and we decided to go in the end. Like the product simplifies our lives and people's lives, we went with one VC who we really liked. They sold themselves, right? They did exactly what a VC would have done if I was in their position. They said how they would help out the company from every single team player. And also they've got a massive, they've invested in CockroachDB already. And also, they've got a massive data network in New York as well. So from our point of view, we've got obviously a great backer right now. We plan to take this, the full way. I mean, people saying on Discord, they'll probably sell to Microsoft next year. We believe this can be the de facto database in the world. We want it to be, and we want it to take it to the IPO stage and be the biggest in the world. MongoDB have set some great bars. We want to try and eclipse that, and we believe we can. So that's the challenge.
I just want to add in that, it's taken 7 years of building and kind of creating the ideas that go into this database. But
hey, Matt's online.
It's really, well. It's really great. It's really great. That,
very good, and Kevin as well. Yeah, great. Sorry, yeah.
To fill everyone in before Toby continues, so Matt is our investor.
Yeah, if you don't know Matt, you must know Matt. He knows everybody. Yeah, great guy.
So I was going to say, look, it's 7 years of creating and building this database product and thinking of how to make it really great. But I think since we launched, some of the ideas from the community, some of the feature requests, obviously the bug requests as well. But, they've been brilliant. They've been brilliant in shaping the database and where we're going with it as well. And they're really important. So thank you to everyone for all the features, bugs, ideas. Keep them coming, and we will listen and we will keep building.
One of the biggest stats of
very, very smart and good looking, by the way. Very smart and good looking. And Kevin as well. Happy birthday yesterday, Kevin, by the way. He had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Kevin. Really good one. Yeah.
One of the biggest stats that I love of that is YouTube. And so we've collated so many of your videos. If anyone's made one of the videos that we are now sharing on our channel say hi. There's huge kudos to you. And what is the
Yeah.
stat, Jamie, of the
I
amount
think
of views
it's
it's had?
I think it's about 1.7 million. We haven't made a video yet, so amazing. Thank you so much, everyone who's made a video. We really appreciate it. Yesterday we had another Fireship video. That's the third one we mentioned it from him. I mean, phenomenal support. Yeah.
So if
Thank you
there
so
are
much.
any videos, if there are any videos that we've missed, we've got a new awesome Surreal repository in the SurrealDB organization on GitHub.
Fireship, yeah, hop on.
If there are libraries, videos, integrations, tutorials, anything like that, please add a pull request for those and add those to the awesome Surreal repository.
Definitely. I think, like I said, before we
amazing.
bring out the team and talk about the future as well, like we said at the beginning, community is massively important to us. Thank you all for jumping on this today. We plan to do a lot more of these, as Lizzie will mention it later on as well. Look, we want to make sure that with this journey, we bring you along the whole way, because it's very important to us that we build a product that everyone wants to use and not that some people want to use. So thank you for the bottom of our hearts for everything done so far for us. And we want to make sure that we continue that journey with you. So thank you.
Yeah, just answering Anthony's question there on the chat. Absolutely, we'll add a section for that. Platforms that are using Surreal, we'd love to have those there. So put pull requests in for those as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
And in terms of that chat, if you have any questions that you want us to answer, stick it in the Q&A section, and then those can get upvoted and we'll check at them, because the chat is going so quickly. There's so many things happening.
Toby, good question on chat.
Amazing.
Anthony said, can you post stuff that uses Surreal but it's not used as a library for Surreal?
Yeah, I just answered that. Yeah, so definitely post those to the Surreal repo, and we'll add those as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
Amazing. So a couple of final questions before we introduce the team. Farnhart asks, why hasn't something like this been done before?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we've asked ourselves this many times. Obviously there are many players in this database market, but we think we're trying, and they're all trying to solve kind of narrow problems, or trying to solve it in better ways. And what we want to do with SurrealDB is we want to solve the problems that developers face on a daily basis, and we want to do that with a really great developer experience, at the same time enabling developers to simplify their database and backend tech stacks. So effectively, SurrealDB's aim is to give developers more power, but with fewer moving parts that are hard to build, hard to scale, and harder to maintain. So we've got a lot of plans for SurrealDB, a lot of new features that we haven't yet announced, and a lot of things we're working on. But yeah, we want to make this the database for developers that makes their life completely easy.
Yeah, and also, I mean, look, it took us 7 years, right? It's quite a long time to be working on something full steam. So it hasn't been done before. We're not quite sure, to be honest. We don't know. But we know it was needed, from our opinion. And I think a lot of people realize that too. So yeah, 7 years of hard work, and we want to continue doing that to make it the de facto database in the world. That's the plan.
And that's the important thing, isn't it? It's that commitment to all of the community to say we are going to be around for the long haul.
Absolutely.
You can trust us and be here.
Absolutely.
Along those kind of the flip side of that, I guess, then is a question from Sawyer, which is, what are some of the challenges? These Q&As are always good for, like, what's the hard bit?
Working with Toby for 17 years, that's been a mega challenge. Can you imagine? It's been a huge challenge. No, listen, I mean, you probably didn't know this, but actually, not ironically, end of last year, Toby unfortunately had a car accident. He broke his back in 3 places, his elbow, you name it. But we ploughed on through it all. He's fine now. It's on the mend. So that was probably the biggest challenge, to be honest. Toby's accident. But yeah, I mean, keeping focus on building something for a long period of time. And then in a way, you build it for yourself, and you're kind of thinking, this is what we love and want to build. But when you kind of, before you launch it, you don't know whether people are going to like it, whether it can be adopted. So yeah, challenges. I mean, taking the time to build it, and also, Toby's accident being the biggest one so far. But there'll be plenty more, I'm sure. But we're ready for it. We're very focused and driven people.
Yeah, I think also just adding to Jamie's answer, growing a great team. We're on the lookout for great devs and people who love SurrealDB. So that's always a challenge. But we're starting on that journey, and we're introducing the team shortly. So we're really excited for that.
Yeah.
What a beautiful segue, Toby. Do you want to segue into that, or are there any more questions we want to speak about?
We want to make sure that, when we hire people and join our company, that we create a great culture at SurrealDB. That's the most important thing for us, that we bring on people who, first of all, we believe in, we have a great gut feeling with. Same with Matt, and obviously for First Mark, we had a great gut feeling from the start too. So it's all about bring people on board who we want to fit our culture of the company, because it's very important for us that, we know we want to go with this, but we want to bring our people on board who are great people too. So a great segue. Here we go.
Yeah, just before you jump into that, I just want to answer Sachin's message in the chat.
Yeah.
What are your plans for commercial viability? Obviously, Rethink DB, they raised a good amount of money. Great database. We love some of the concepts in that, but they unfortunately didn't go the full way. We were talking about our cloud launch in due course. And obviously, we always want to have this product available to people who don't want to use our cloud, but the cloud is definitely part of making this work so that we can support the community and the source available, the open source aspects of it as well, and that's really important to us.
Definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if LGKTG, I think I don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah, culturally, hugely important. And especially it's hard to keep that going, obviously, when you bring lots of people on board and with the big funding. But our first hire is a man called Rushmore, who a lot of you know. He's contributed thousands of lines of code to SurrealDB. And yeah, he was our first hire as a developer side of it, and a huge, obviously, part of the community so far. So yeah, we'll bring him on board as well, along with Hugh. So yeah, please welcome Rushmore and Hugh.
Rushmore and Hugh. So Rushmore, we said on our Discord that Rushmore's been working with Rust for 7 years. He's actually, if you go and look at his GitHub, his first commit with Rust was on the one of his early commits was on the ReQL repository for the Rethink DB query language in Rust, and that was 9 years ago. So Rushmore is an expert in Rust, and I'll let Rushmore introduce himself in a bit.
Hi everyone, I'm Rushmore. I'm focused on improving the performance of the database, refining the SQL parsing functionality, and working on the client library integrations that will be powered by the Rust and C library under the hood.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
By the way, quick fact about Rushmore. Rushmore lives in Zimbabwe, and I'll tell you what, they've got a lot of power issues in Zimbabwe, and finally, we've managed to get power sorted for Rushmore, because it's been a nightmare, but he's now fully powered up and ready to go. But yeah, obviously, thanks for Rushmore. Yeah, great to have you on board, man. It's been great.
And Rushmore, you have contributed so much code to SurrealDB already. Toby, how much was it that you were saying?
Well, I think that this was mid-January, but it's over 2,000 or 3,000 lines of code already, or additions. So yeah, really awesome. And also everything you see that will be coming in version 9 to do with the client library in Rust, but also for future libraries, as Rushmore said, any library that would be based on our Rust or C library under the hood. So a native Python, native Node.js, PHP, things like that, they'll be based on our Rust library, and will have really great power and kind of performance because of that.
And Rushmore, you have 7 years experience in Rust. That's like almost unheard of when we announced it. Everyone's like, what? How?
Yeah,
How is that?
I jumped early on. I left Rust so much, so it was very easy to just make the plunge and start one with Rust. So yeah, I think, as soon as they launched their version 1.0, I was in. I knew I had to commit to that.
Excellent.
You say 7 years, but you've been working since 2014 on Rust, so yeah, it's been a long time.
So one question we had from the community for Rushmore, or aimed more at Rushmore, was kind of transactions in the client libraries, and being able to compose, create, update, and delete methods together and run them together. So I'll let Rushmore answer that for you.
Yes, currently those methods cannot be composed. Each method only executes a single statement. In future, we do plan to have transactions that can span multiple function calls, though.
Excellent.
Great. And then Hugh, as you see Hugh on the screen, just a quick fact about Hugh. Hugh likes warm jelly. Don't ask.
All right,
It's,
all right, all right. Well,
go
well,
for
well, let's throw this in the chat, all right? So,
What an introduction.
yeah, okay.
Lots
So
more jelly.
I'll wait for my introduction in a
Sorry.
bit. We need to establish some basic facts. Who here likes boiling hot, goopy jelly that's like kind of fruity? So basically, we're talking
There's
about
no
this thing.
thumbs down
It's
emoji.
called
There's no thumbs down emoji.
Kisiel. Who
Unbelievable.
in Poland has, or maybe not, you know, outside of Poland as well.
Put up your emojis, put your thumbs if you like
Yeah,
that.
Kisiel, yeah,
Thumbs down,
yeah, Danny.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, okay.
All right.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'm Hugh. And I don't nearly have any experience compared to like Rushmore in terms of Rust. Like seriously, I'm going with every single question to Rushmore. Like he's the absolute pro over here in terms of the language. Witaj, cześć, witam wszystkich. Bardzo miło was tutaj poznać. Dziękuję, że wstąpiliście. But yeah, so totally. So my background, it's not in Rust, but I've worked in like banking environments, whether that's like investment or commercial banking, and I've got some previous experience in databases. And like my passion is like, well, high throughput, low latency, fault tolerant, distributed, whether that's geolocation, localized data, like there's a bunch of concepts. And what I'm currently working on is live streaming, right? What a lot of people are, yeah, Rushmore's cool. He's, yeah, seriously, like I go, like every time you guys ask me a question, it's like, how does this work? I'm like, all right, you're looking for the documentation. I'm looking for the documentation. Rushmore the documentation, you know, like Rushmore knows how this stuff works. So I go to him. Yeah, he answers it.
I love that. Rustmore. Brilliant, Martin. That's great.
Yeah,
Love it,
seriously, it's cool. Thanks so much for all the help you've provided, Rushmore. It's been really good, and yeah, like it's been really good. Thanks so much. but yeah, so so live queries. You're all super excited for it. Like, what's the delay? So single node live queries. We want to get that out ASAP. Like we think we can. $10. I don't think this is $10. This is I got this years ago. Yeah, this is not $10. I'll haggle with you. If you want to buy for $10, I'll give it to you for $10. But, so that can be like a swag reward. Anyway, live queries. Yeah, single node, we want to get that out ASAP, but multi-node, we want to think about this a bit, right? Because as soon as that hit production, then it's committed to production. We need to think about like what the properties we want, the trade-offs, like how's this going to work, fault tolerance, delivery guarantees, ordering. Like there's a lot of complicated stuff going on over here, and we want to get it right. So yeah, so I'm taking a lot of Toby's time with this. I'm like, hey, I want to do this. Toby's like, think about that. So yeah, so that's what we're doing with this. And yeah, hopefully for 1.0, well, definitely for 1.0, we're going to have that ready.
So yeah, just to summarize. So those distributed live queries, obviously for our cloud and for our version 1.0. Yeah.
Cool.
And last but not least, currently right now the team is obviously that's 5 on screen. We have a few more joining us we can't announce yet. But last but not least, obviously, is Lizzie Holmes here, who is our experiences manager for SorilDB. It was a massive part that we wanted to from the get-go. Our first time was Lizzie. No, I've been serious. It's huge. I mean, look, we want to make sure that we can offer great online and also offline experiences for our community. I mean, we held our first SorilDB event last 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago. We have people flying in from Europe, even the US. It was fantastic, great turnout, and we hope you put on a great show. Lizzie, from my opinion, I think you smashed it. We also want to make sure that we nurture our community and grow with that, and putting on great experiences that people can get involved in is very important to us. So yeah, that's why we brought on Lizzie. So Lizzie, yeah, please take it away.
So I do, as the comment's saying, I do have boundless energy, and for anyone who will see me online or in person.
And can I just say, I have to work with Lizzie and Jamie on a daily basis. So think about me for a moment.
Listen, let's not start
Jamie and I are quite well paired, aren't we? It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, and it's been amazing to be involved. So I've been here right from the beginning. I remember Jamie mentioning about Soril back in February and saying that Jamie and Toby had this most amazing product that they were building out. And my background is in startups, in building communities. It was actually a classical music community. We actually have quite a lot of musicians like who work in all of this, and problem solving and being the kind of the right person at the right place to work out logistics, whether that's coming across community or operations. So it's in many fingers in many pies and things, but it's amazing to be involved. And so much is going to be focusing on all of you who are with us today and really working out how to kind of create a bespoke feeling and sense in the experiences both online and in person of Soril and what that is in in its essence. We're going to be coming to, it's just been announced yesterday, so to Web Summit later on in the year. We've just been picked as one of the top 100 growth startups. So everyone should come to Portugal. We'll see you all there. That'll be amazing. Definitely. Next week, we're at Rust Nation in London. So that's going to be really exciting as well. And we're obviously off to New York. But the aim is to be doing these streams monthly at least, because most of our community is around the world. So we want to connect with you. So please do send me any DMs of ideas. If you have any speaker ideas as well, get in touch.
Yeah, definitely. To sort of jump into that point, one of the ideas we're doing, obviously, documentation. We know, obviously, one of the things we need to improve is our documentation. That's obviously a massive point. Obviously, timing has always been an issue for that. We also want to create a standard documentation side of it, but also to gamify our documentation. So those people who are new to Surreal can sort of enjoy a gamified experience documentation for that way. So we have got a lot of things in the pipeline for that kind of stuff. But Toby will talk through our next bit about the questions we've had on documentation. Then, we'll
as Jamie said, gamifying our documentation and improving that experience is a key part of what we're going to be doing over the next, sooner rather than later, but over the next couple of months as well. In addition to that, we're going to have a Surreal QL playground where you can play against some data sets in due course, large data sets in the browser. I think one of the biggest questions we got it a lot in the beginning. You can obviously search through Discord and see the answer to that. But so the first thing is, are there official benchmarks for SurrealDB against relational databases, document databases, other graph databases? And we've replied on Discord about this, but again, we'll put it here. There are a few things that we're working on for the version 1 launch. The first thing is the performance. So performance of indexes. As many of you know, you can define indexes. You can use those unique indexes in queries. But when you're reading data from a table, it doesn't actually use those indexes yet. So obviously, when we implement that, and Jamie will talk about a little bit of our hire coming on, a new member of the team coming on next week to work on indexing. But yeah, so that will be a big performance improvement. There are also a couple of other additions. So how data is serialized to the disk. So we'll be improving that, and that will be improving read performance and write performance as well. And finally, a big piece of functionality or improvement that Rushmore is working on is about how data is cloned within the database processing runtime. Rushmore is an expert on that, and it's quite a big change, but it will result in a big or significant improvement to the performance. So Rushmore's got his work cut out for him for the next month or so on that performance aspect. But yeah, benchmarking and performance are really important for us, and these will all be in for our version 1 release.
And Toby, another big question that everyone was asking was obviously about the security aspect of it.
Yeah, security, of course. Security is massively important for us. Whether it's the cloud product that we're going to be launching, the open source product that you can download and use yourselves, or whether it's us as a business, which obviously affects the cloud product. That's all something we take very seriously. So if you've got suggestions or thoughts, whether that should be on a public GitHub issue or privately to security@surrealdb.com, that's really important to us. But effectively, there have been some questions from the community about encryption, how to protect Surreal instances from malicious HTTP requests, how to stop bots spamming functions, and many other things around those areas. We've got a lot of functionality planned around configuration of the database server when you start it up. So being able to prevent people from running certain functions, or limiting them on a number of queries they can run at any one time, or how many they can run in a particular period. So we've got all of these, and a large kind of security focus update coming soon before our version 1 release. And that's obviously really important to us. So before we launch the cloud, before we launch our version 1, there'll be a lot more configuration for security.
Definitely. And one of our first hires we're bringing on the first 10 is head of security. He's coming on board in the next few months. And yeah, he former IBM, and also he's worked on government security stuff for many years. So yeah, very important for us. We know that when we launch our cloud, we need to make sure that everything is secure from the get-go. And you get one shot really at this these days. So we want to make sure that we've got it right. So yeah, he's coming on board soon.
Yeah.
final few questions before we welcome Misha up is definitely then about the cloud.
Yeah.
Toby, if you can talk to us about that.
Cloud's a big one, and also if we've got a bit of time, I'll try and touch on some like future plans, which some people have asked about, obviously. But yeah, cloud is a big one. We updated our roadmap recently and our features page. So if you haven't had a look, jump onto our new product features page on the site and jump onto our releases page. Releases gives a kind of general overview of some of the bigger features that we've got coming and which kind of versions they're going to be in. And it also talks about when we're going to be launching our the 2 versions of our cloud. So the first version is multi-tenant. It's serverless. So you're only, there'll be a free tier. You're only going to be paying for how many concurrent connections or data storage or query runtime with a free tier at the bottom. The second version of our cloud database, which is further on in the year, is going to be a private cloud. And that will be based on kind of node size, cluster size that you want to be running. But effectively, that's only accessed by you, and you can VPC peer that into your AWS private cloud. So those are the 2, the first 2, let's say, versions of our cloud that we'll be launching. We've got some other plans beyond that, but we'll talk about those down the line a bit. I think did I answer all the questions? Yeah. So serverless cloud is definitely a part of our plan.
And future plans?
Yeah, so we've had questions about GraphQL, multiple languages as opposed to just JavaScript. I think the first thing is we've got big plans to improve what you can do in SerialQL. So we've got plans for for statements and multiple statements within if statements and if queries. And then we've also got custom functions coming soon. So you'll be able to see on our new features page that there's a section for custom functions, which we plan for launching in version 1. Those will be SerialQL with multi-statements, but also you'll be able to run JavaScript functions inside there as well. And we also plan for WebAssembly. So albeit we won't be launching other runtimes, you will be able to write your functions in WebAssembly and port them straight into the database. Fritz has just mentioned on the chat TypeScript. I mean, I don't want to give anything away, Fritz, but we've got some big plans for our JavaScript integration with a lot of features coming. So I won't say anything more now, but yeah, we've got some big announcements about that in due course.
Awesome. Amazing. Ooh, we like those emojis. Is this a good time? I think probably to bring up the wonderful Misha, who actually came all the way over from the Netherlands to come and join our meetup in London. Misha, come to the stage.
Misha is only 18 years old. I thought it was at least in his 20s when I first met him, but he's 18 years old. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
welcome, Misha.
Yeah, welcome.
So, Misha, we have first of all, it's amazing to be able to, and we want to be doing this in the future, be pulling up different members of our community to kind of spotlight and highlight what they're up to. How did you first hear about Serial?
Yeah, so I was really, I'm building my own social media app and some other projects with SerialDB. And I was sort of, really focused on the idea of building something with serverless functions and everything. And I got most of the stack figured out, to be able to host my application as cheap as possible. I only needed to figure out a database, and I was picking Cloudflare workers at the time. And
Card Social, that's the one.
Sorry?
Card Social in the chat.
Yeah, Card Social, definitely.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so D1 was still Cloudflare D1. That was still in like a private alpha beta thing. And eventually I came across SerialDB, and that was just the most wonderful thing that was out there. So I started, to write my backend, my serverless functions with SerialDB and everything. But eventually I realized, wow, why am I even doing this? I can just completely drop the backend, and it will save me like 50% of cost per request, and I don't need to implement any backend API endpoints and everything. So it just, it blew my mind with everything that's possible, and it's been a great journey so far.
Excellent.
Awesome, Misha.
You know what? We want to continue that trajectory. We want to continue blowing developers' minds. In the future, we've got a lot more coming. We've mentioned a few things to Misha, but yeah, we've got a lot more coming. We want to keep that going.
Yeah, going to kick off the demo cards, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let me pull up my screen real quick.
While you're bringing that up, Misha, so
Yeah.
what are the advantages, do you think, of writing the application without the backend layer?
Well, it just saves so much time. It's so much more fun to write. Well, of course, there are some challenges along the way right now because some of the things are really a little bit limited right now. But well, they will greatly be improved in the future. And as Toby said, I've heard some things already, and that's going to be awesome. Trust me on that. But it's just it saves money, it saves time. It's just so much more fun. And this is the first time in a while that I've actually enjoyed to write database schemas, and it's absolutely awesome. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I've pulled up my project here. So one of the things that I've been able to implement thus far with Solidity, which is, well, I think a milestone, is to just upload a profile image, and you can crop it. Well, this is our front end, of course. You can upload it, and this is done with Cloudflare Images because it allows you to easily grab a public upload URL. And as you can see, well, it's uploaded here. It's all secure and everything. It took, well, really some events to shadow some data and some credentials here and there, but even sending emails and password verification and everything, it's all possible already with Solidity on the nightly version. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing what you can do with Solidity.
Thank you, Misha. Do you want to ask any questions as well?
Yeah.
I see one is one.
Yeah. So the biggest question, Misha, is obviously we're a database, and there's been a couple of questions on our chat and on our Q&A about what are our plans on kind of handling images or large document uploads. And I guess one of the biggest questions therefore is, how do you handle at the moment with obviously the limitations that Solidity is a database and is designed for storing data, not objects. So how are you handling image uploads and then also user verification and sending emails at the moment?
Yeah, so I can do a small walkthrough of basically the flow. So you need to shadow some data, some credentials. You need to store the credentials somewhere in the database so you can retrieve them to do the API requests. So you start with a table where you can basically request an image upload. The user has to submit some data to that table. Once that happens, you can see the event here. It's got a wrong name, I see just now, but basically there's an event on create image table, and just always execute it. That's what the when one is for. Then you create a new image. You set the owner of the image, based on the authentication. You define the ID of the from record, so the user can look it back up. And then you can use some JavaScript magic to do the request to the Cloudflare API. You need to use some string replacing and everything. So, eventually you build the URL, you set up the authorization, you do some parsing with the JavaScript, and voila, you got an image record as a result with an upload URL, an ID for the image. You can then go on to translate that to public data that everyone can select. So yeah, it works. Took me some time to figure out, but yeah.
That's brilliant. That's useful. I think a lot of people would find that useful when building a kind of front-end application. Another question I've got therefore is, at the moment we don't have Solidity Cloud. Obviously that's coming soon, but how are you hosting, or how are you planning on hosting this in the meantime? So
I'm currently having a cheap VPS from Hetzner. They have some really great pricing out there. It's just I've actually written a tutorial on the Solidity tutorials website, but I just host it with a Docker Compose template basically, and I just have that running in the backend. In the background, I got one VPS for production and one for testing environments, and it automatically basically migrates the database on deployment. It's a little bit hacky right now, so there will also be some improvements in that area soon.
You've also been playing around with Cloudflare hosting, is that correct?
Yeah, so I host the front end in Cloudflare Pages. It's a completely static website essentially. Yeah. And there have been some points where, for example, user profiles, where I will probably need to use a Cloudflare function or Cloudflare worker to replace some of the data, so it's like SEO friendly. But besides that, the Cloudflare pages, it's completely free to host, and it scales across the globe. I think more than 200 edge locations from Cloudflare. And if at some point you can combine that with Serenity Cloud, then you've got a very, cheap stack to host, essentially, if you're just starting out like me with not really a big budget to build your app. But it's, there are many opportunities there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And what about things like confirmation emails when a user signs up, or maybe taking a payment, for instance, when someone wants to, let's say, make an order or something?
Yeah, well, I've got email verification working too. Basically, there's this a table. It's just a table that takes the creation of a record, but then immediately drops it. It's got some fields of the data that you need to send with the email. Essentially, what happens when you create the email? Again, when one is one, it will just do an API request to SendGrid with the appropriate data to send the email, and then it's out. I pre-fill it with some email templates that I got stored in the database, and there are again
storing those templates in the database with various sections. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, essentially. So I can grab it here real quick. Waitlist, for example. So there is here. So I'm having some basically replacements that I fill in the database when I'm sending the email. That's again with the string calling replace function. I import this into the database when I'm migrating it, and I can select it whenever I need it. And then I just send out the email. I fill in the gaps, and then it's out. So, yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Misha, for sharing that.
Misha,
it was
thank you.
really fabulous. Do we get different emojis of how you feel? Yeah, here they come, flooding out.
18 years old, man. Thanks so much. That's brilliant, man. Smashed it. That was awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, and definitely check out my repos if you want any inspiration or how to do things. I got some things figured out over there, and you can always
Misha,
me a Discord
sure
server. Yeah.
Card Social, yeah. Put it in the chat as well. I think Gilbert's already put it in there. But yeah, guys, go check it out.
Probably on our Discord, quite a lot of you.
It's already on there.
A lot of you will have seen Misha responding already to so many people. You're such an active part of the community. It's amazing, Misha. So thank you.
It's an honor.
Thank you, man. Hey, stay on stage, sure.
Well, stay on stage. Bring up Hugh and Rushmore. Here we go.
There we go.
So I'm thinking there's some great questions in the Q&A. So we'll probably just go through and answer a few more of those. Some of those will require answers, which we'll be talking about who we plan to bring on board and who's coming on board already, or in time. So let's go through. I mean, so the first thing on how sharding can be done in SerealDB. So we the traditional way of doing sharding in databases we really hated. Obviously, there are going to be some areas where you can benefit from sharding, but ultimately, as a developer, you should have the choice, not the requirement to shard. So for us, if you want to organize your data in a time series-like way and use range queries on those records, if you want to store data into a single table, but then pull out records, let's say you're pulling out just users who are in the US and users by country in separate tables, SerealDB gives you the flexibility to do that without saying, look, you have to shard in order to scale. So effectively, if you want to scale without having to shard, you can do that at the moment on top of TiKV, but it is our plans, and that's why Hugh's on board now to work out how to do this on our own key value store internally. That's called SerealKV. I've seen a question for that as well, which we'll get to in a bit. The next question is, how's the index work going? So this is a big one for us, and next week we've got someone joining us who's going to be working on full text search. So I'll let Jamie talk about that.
Yeah, we've got a fantastic hire coming on board next week. Basically, former head of search at Redis and front. So yeah, very big hire for us. We know it's obviously very important. was an important thing we put down in our Typeform questionnaire, which went out. Which, for those of you, by the way, who filled it out in time, obviously we have some stickers. So there'll be many more opportunities for stickers, because I know you guys love your stickers. So we've got some crazy holographic cracked eye stickers coming as well to you as well soon. So we'll have some more Typeforms. But yeah, he's coming on board next week as well. But yeah, we are. There we go. Look at that. You do love your stickers. That's what I said. Right? You love your stickers. So on that note as well, I'll segue into the fact we've got our own Cerulean swag store coming soon as well. I love a swag. I know you love swag, but
maybe in the chat, Jamie. If everyone in the chat post anything, what things would you like to buy from our store?
Yeah,
that's a good point as well. Yeah, what kind of swag
Give
would you like?
us some inspiration.
It's gonna be great swag. Jamie's been on this for a while now, so it's gonna be really good stuff.
I was in Vegas for AWS, and you have a lot of people there giving away socks. Don't get me wrong, I love my socks. I love socks, but there are other things you can buy as well. So I'm a big fan of socks plus everything else. So we have please put down what you want as well. Into underwear, we'll get some underwear for sure.
Jamie,
I was going to ask, what would swag paraphernalia look like?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like swag and
like
sock and sock and
most good idea.
Stuff.
Just to answer those questions there, we intend for swag to be available around the world.
Yeah, we're also going with a really good clothing manufacturer that basically is eco-friendly, the whole thing. So yeah, very, very. They're called Stanley Stella, Stanley/Stella. Great. I mean, they're so comfy. Lovely.
I mean, that's the new one. I just saw a balaclava, surreal balaclava for skiing there.
Listen. If Supreme are doing it, we can get Surreal DB one for sure. Yeah, not for balaclava.
But that is like Jamie. That is a big shout out to you. So the design, you call yourself Pixel King. You are Pixel King. The designs are so beautiful that I think for me always it's what makes it stand out.
Everything you see from the front end is me. So obviously we start building it. Toby is the guy who built the database. I haven't got a Scooby-Doo about that. I do everything for the front end. So design, website, social media, chat to you guys on Discord. That's me. So yeah, that's how we've always done it. But we want to make sure.
Boy, is he pernickety about pixels. If one pixel out, it doesn't go live.
I tell you what, getting our pink color into CMYK color is a tricky one. I'm very finicky about that one. If it's not the right color pink, it's not going out. So yeah. We'll make sure we get some really cool stuff. But yeah, please put it in the chat. Sunglasses. All right, cool, nice one. I like that sort of idea.
There was another one with pins and sunglasses and water bottles.
Yeah, pins definitely as well. Yeah, definitely.
So a third question in the Q&A at the top is, in which data center will the cloud servers be? So this is a really opinionated question here, because a lot of people say I like Azure or AWS. I'm personally a big fan of Google. I think their network is brilliant, and the networking between data centers and between regions is really good. So we'll probably be launching our serverless designed for front-end applications on Google Cloud. But don't get me wrong, we definitely have plans for AWS as well. And with the enterprise level private cloud, that's definitely going to be on AWS, peering into the AWS private cloud regions. So we're launching around the world. It's not just going to be in a West Coast US data center. We're going to be launching everywhere, and as we've got users everywhere. So that's really important to us.
We'll do two more, yeah? Two more Q&As, yeah? So that through.
Yeah, I'll just try and answer some of these quickly. So will the self-hosted version have all the functionality? Yeah, definitely. Look, there are some functions that we'll be adding which are more enterprise focused and won't really be needed in the community versions, but absolutely what you're seeing at the moment, what you're getting and what we're getting from version 1 is all going to be there in that release. So whether you use our cloud, obviously that's going to make it really easy to launch, to get going on SerilDB, to scale. You don't have to worry about scaling or servers or backends or anything like that. Or whether you want to do it yourself, that's there shouldn't be any difference there. Timeline for live queries. Timeline for live queries depends on Hugh. So I'll let Hugh answer that one.
The answer is ASAP. So I mean, for single node, there's really little that's really holding us back. But because of the changes that Rushmore is doing to improve performance, we need to consider how we're going to do distributed and those changes in a way that's not going to block us for the future, right? Like, I mean, if you just want to like listen for the updates and then just send a message, you can do that. but where do you want to send this message? How do you want to record it? How do you want to garbage collect? Because this is all overhead, right? This is all overhead for every single transaction that you're making. So we want to minimize the footprint of this as much as possible while still delivering guarantees. So to answer your question, it's soon, very, very soon. but yeah, no, I mean, we want to get it right, you know, so.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great questions on here. We can't answer them all, so I apologize for that. But how do you guys choose which libraries or features to tackle first? You know, some of those features that are put onto our GitHub are obviously easier. They make sense according to the architecture that we've already got integrated, or maybe they're part of a longer term roadmap that we have internally. So some of those features can get prioritized and added in easy. Others, they're great features, and we're adding them to our roadmap all the time. Our roadmap's constantly improving. Sorry, I missed a question. Will WASM plugins? What was that question there? Will WebAssembly plugins? I can't find the question, but WebAssembly plugins are going to be very performant. You're going to be able to write them in any of the languages that write to WebAssembly, obviously, and they'll be. You know, you'll be able to have effectively almost native performance within Rust runtime. Along with that, SurrealQL functions, obviously very performant as well, being Rust under the hood. And with JavaScript functions, there's obviously a slight performance hit that we have for every JavaScript invocation, but that's definitely something we're going to be improving, working on, and we've got some big plans for that, which we'll announce in due course, maybe at the next online meetup.
Yeah. There's also another question that's coming up in terms of the terms of service for the Surreal Cloud and things, if we can share a bit more about that.
Yeah, so we don't have the terms of service available just yet, but obviously when we're nearer to launching our cloud, we'll get those terms of service out. But effectively, look, SurrealDB is built to be highly available and highly scalable. That's its intention. So, you know, we're definitely going to have aims around, you know, how much uptime there is, and the performance of queries. It's, you know, we want to launch a database to rival the other databases out there in the market. And there's some big databases, some big companies, and we've got a lot of ambition there, but we believe we can do that, and that's exactly what we want to do.
Toby, this is a great question. How do I convince colleagues to start using SurrealDB in our products?
I mean, look, loads of ways, right? Loads of ways.
Yeah.
I'll answer that by answering the next question underneath that first, which is Surreal documentation is going to be improving soon. So our version 9 or beta 9 has got a lot of new features coming, a lot of changes to how data might be stored on disk, and also the client library. So once we've got those changes and we've got them kind of embedded, and we know that that's the route we're going down, the documentation for WebSockets, which is massively changed with version 9, with a binary WebSocket protocol, and native serialization, which is coming very soon as well. So documentation is going to be improved very soon, along with all those changes. But
John, yeah, flex on them. That's right. That's it.
But how do I convince colleagues to start using SurrealDB in our products? We want to make our site accessible and easy to use and good documentation. But also, I'd say, get them to jump onto an online stream, get them to come to one of our meetups, get them to join our Discord, because there's a great community. There are people who, you know, are already joining in the community, like Misha, who's answering thousands of questions a day. I don't know how he does his other work. So, you know, that, and also coming to our in-person meetups if you can, because you know, we can talk about what we've got planned, our roadmap. You can come and meet the team, and yeah.
And as one of the said on the chat, look, documentation improving, obviously very important. Anthony as well, build something to show how it works. Yeah, we plan for that as well. So we have case studies and ideas of showcases how you can build and what you can build through, like me showed today, but also many more versions. So yeah, and we'll flex on them too, right? You know, we've got to make sure that we want to make sure this is a database that everyone loves. So we're going to continue doing that.
That's quite an interesting thing in terms of the online community, maybe to ask you all who are with us, in terms of interacting. So our socials, in-person socials, we had so many amazing conversations between developers happening, new projects getting planned, aspects of Surreal that people didn't realize and discovering. So how we can replicate that online, whether can we get a show of hands, like show of emojis, if you'd be interested in a session similar to this, but with like breakout rooms, so that then there is the opportunity to talk. We could do specific, okay, a couple, quite a few. So we'll give it a go. That's one of the things.
What about kind of workshop? Maybe a workshop tutorial stream.
Okay, cool. That's good. Wow. Okay, that's not crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, we
yeah.
really like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, I mean, this is our first ever one doing it. We want to make sure we have a chat with the community, get to know us, because, you know, obviously you see us on Discord, it's like a profile picture, but we don't really know us about, you know, who we are. So yeah, we want to make sure that you guys are involved in everything we're building. And, you know, if we ask questions and, you know, do workshops that you want to involve in, we want to make sure that we include in everything we do. Because like I said at the beginning, you know, you can have a great product with no community behind it and no community pushing and asking them, it's not a great product. So yeah, we look forward to the future. And thanks so much, as I said, for joining us on this journey so far. It's been great.
Yeah, just trying to answer a few more questions here, so I get as many questions answered. So, can you give a bit more detail about the JavaScript runtime? Does it affect database performance? Does it support external serverless functions, service providers? So, you know, for our JavaScript functions, we've got some big plans. We want to improve the performance. We want to improve the developer experience and deployment of those functions to SurrealDB. So I don't want to give away too much right now. TypeScript is obviously a big part of that. Performance TypeScript, external imports, let's put it that way. So we've got some big plans which will just make building on SurrealDB even easier than it is now already. And, you know, being able to deploy. And that goes along with other functionality like Git deployments and deploying changes of schemas. That's definitely something we want to work on and have in SurrealDB. It may not be there for the version 1, but it's definitely on our roadmap, along with improved typing. So typing, whether in schema-less mode or schema-full mode, and whether we're running in non-strict or strict mode, we've got some changes coming, maybe to version 9, we hope, which will really improve that side of things. You won't have all those edge cases where maybe you said you wanted a date and it gives you back a different date. And you know, so we're going to have big improvements for that coming soon as well.
Yeah, Matthew on the chat said a video series going with Misha's process would be amazing too. Hey, Misha, that's a great idea, right?
Misha,
also,
that's
said he's very impressed with your code.
I just might.
Great. Hey, 100%, that's a great idea. Great idea.
To round off, because we have 2 minutes and we don't want to take anything from Rushmore, Hugh, Misha, is there anything that you've discovered while working on SurrealDB that you didn't realize it could do before? Like, are there any kind of whoa moments?
Every day.
Discoveries.
Every day.
Yeah. What are the favorite ones though? Or like a top tip for anyone who's watching who may not know.
Well, my best tip is just go through the documentation a bit, because there are some crazy examples in there of, you know, what you can do with your data structures. It's absolutely insane. And, you know, it will be different for everyone, of course, but there's absolutely some mind-blowing stuff out there. But just being able to, from your database, execute JavaScript and do HTTP requests and, you know, the whole events stuff, it's mind-blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was literally just about to talk about the events. I was going over the tests that we have for the events, and there's like, all right, you've got events, you can update your records. Oh, that was for the futures, right? That you can update your records lazily as you're doing changes to them.
Futures, yeah, definitely futures.
And like we've got tests for like loops for this, so you can have like, for example, 3 separate you know, documents. They're all pointing to each other in very weird, strange ways, and we've got tests where it's like limiting the heap memory for it. And then we check that it's, you know, that it's doing the correct behavior if it goes into like, you know, out of range for these searches. It's really cool.
And just on that, just a shout out to Finbear, because he's also made some awesome contributions to SurrealDB code, and that was actually his contribution, you know, limiting any kind of memory shutdowns because someone's creating a future that acts as a future that acts as a future, and on and on. So shout out to Finbear on our Discord GitHub for that.
Yeah, excellent. Hey, quick one. Dan, love the pun on chat. Great pun, love that. Leanne, yes, will be any question we missed and stuff, we'll try to answer on Discord as well. And yeah, guys, thanks so much. Lizzie, take it away as well. Yeah.
No, thank you all for joining us. We hope to see you again soon. We'll be announcing the next Discord, the next online stream on Discord. So thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Apologies, we haven't answered your question specifically, but put it on Discord or answer it in the next online stream, and we'll try and answer it.
And thank you. Have a great evening.
Thanks so much. Thanks.